Aren't you a little early there, bud? What the hell? Alright, man. Fine. Let me have my coffee first. Well, I guess it's that time of year again, folks. What's up, guys? Welcome to 31 Days of Horror. I am Morgan Film Fan. Let's jump into some scares. Trick or Treats was a film that was originally released in 1982. What we have going on here is a man named Malcolm is having lunch or breakfast with his wife, I presume, in their backyard with the most Oscar-worthy performances I have ever seen in my life, might I add. And then all of a sudden, some men in white show up and they start to try to get Malcolm, the husband, into a straitjacket because apparently, out of nowhere, Malcolm is an insane person. And this goes on for about 5 to 10 minutes in the most ridiculous of fashions. They all end up in the swimming pool as well as up a tree, as the wife, Joan, just watches with certain sadistic and enjoyable smiles, while we say. Might add that I almost did not buy this movie because of all the negative reviews that it has gotten. Pretty much what I've read about this film is that the beginning 5 minutes were hilarious, and then the rest of the film was just absolutely boring. I could not disagree more. This film is bonkers and ludicrous and absolutely hilarious. We go forward a few years, which is titled as several years, and then we're introduced to this woman named Linda, and Linda is an actress and babysitter, and she is hired by our female Joan from the beginning of the film to babysit her little boy Christopher while her and her new man Richard go out to what I believe to be a Halloween party. So Linda is left in care of Christopher, and Christopher, let's just say, is an upcoming magician. And Christopher is a little bit of a psychopath, and throughout the entire film is pulling pranks on Linda. Now this kid just doesn't stop. He pretends to cut his finger off. He makes explosions filled with smoke. He has an array of masks that he pulls pranks on Linda at all times. At one point in the film, he pretends to drown in the backyard swimming pool. And Linda, of course, falls for it for the 48th time and goes to help the kid and then gives him CPR when all along the little boy Christopher was just looking for a kiss from the sexy babysitter. Of course, she gets pissed off. Again for the 48th time, but we have a few more, like 30 times, where he pranks her, where she just falls for it all the time. There's one scene where she gives him the Boy Who Cried Wolf story, and this goes on for about a minute and a half, even though we all know the Boy Who Cried Wolf story. Nobody believes him after the third time. And the film keeps going on like this. Now Malcolm, as I mentioned at the beginning of the film, who went to the insane asylum, breaks out eventually. And he decides to steal a nurse's uniform and just put on a wig and go out, and presumably everybody believes that he is a lady. Now, this is an 82 film, and I know we're living in 2023. From what I can imagine, I don't think that 1982 was an extremely accepting time for transgendered people as much as it is today. However, this person, this very masculine person, is walking around with just a wig, and everybody, including this seemingly straight man who wants to pick up ladies, ladies of the night, as I say, goes up to this man wearing a wig and completely believes that this is a woman. During this person's escape, Malcolm's escape, while he's wearing the wig, he gets right past the security guard, and the security guard is like, "Hello, nurse, how are you?" And in his regular male voice, regular masculine voice, is like, "Oh yeah, no problem, I'm just getting off work," and then sucker punches the security guard. Security guard is completely aloof, believing that this is an actual nurse. And this Malcolm gentleman, who dresses like a woman, and everybody who I've heard in reviews compares this character to Meatloaf. So I've heard a lot of reviews on this film saying this is basically a Halloween-style slasher featuring Meatloaf, the singer, for anybody who doesn't know Meatloaf. He was a famous singer in the 80s and early 90s. But that's our slasher killer. And then our slasher takes revenge on Joan by going back to the house where Linda is currently at, babysitting this little boy, Christopher. And he shows up and he starts slaying some girls. Because Linda called her friends, and Linda, like I said, is an actress. She has a couple friends who are in the film editing industry, and I found that really interesting because you don't see too often in this day and age, at least, where they're editing films in actual film, and I really appreciated that. And I really appreciated, that in this film specifically, where you have this entire 3 to 5 minute scene where these girls are actually editing film in its film form, and they're cutting it and they're using the machines that I've never seen before in my life other than cinema. And I found that really nostalgic, and I really found that added a little bit of an element to this film that I really appreciated, and I really liked seeing that. It threw me back, even though I didn't grow up in the 80s and I don't understand that kind of process. I still appreciated it for what it was. Now, these girls, being friends with Linda, are invited to the house, and they get picked off fairly quickly. And when Malcolm shows up, Linda is sitting on the couch, and Malcolm comes in behind Linda, and guess what? Malcolm thinks that Linda is Joan, even though she looks approximately maybe 20 years younger than Joan did, and she has long curly hair, where Joan had a very short, straight cut. But nonetheless, this guy fully believes that Linda is Joan. And even when he grabs her and is clearly seeing Linda's face, full frontal, he still thinks it's Joan for whatever reason. Maybe he was insane. Maybe Joan was right. He should have been at the loony bin. And may I add, the loony bin itself. Oh my goodness. I don't know if this was done for comedic effect or if this will be offensive to many people, which I'm pretty sure this whole film will be. Just on what level and towards where into the direction are you trying to be offensive? However, will the film be offensive to at least one person or one category? Yes, that would be a hard yes. This film is ridiculous. It feels straight out of its time. It feels like a film that you would watch at a drive-in or something. It very much feels slasher, and for those who call this boring, I don't know what film you were watching. This film is ludicrous, and that's exactly what makes it hilarious. Christopher is the most annoying little shit in the world, and Linda, falling for it, like I said, 108 times, just keeps going and going. And I'm not going to spoil the exact ending, and I'm not going to spoil the demise of Malcolm. However, it is bonkers, doesn't make very much sense at all, and is extremely convenient, and that's an understatement. It was hilarious. And then they decide to add another little twist right at the end of the film involving Christopher, which just made me shake my head even more. But you know what? This is the type of film that you just go with. And trust me, I sure went with it. So that's Trick or Treats. I'm glad I own it. I'm glad I bought it. And I'm glad I didn't listen to the majority of people who found this not a pleasant watch, because I had an absolute blast out of it. Or with it, I should say. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. and I will definitely be looking forward to watching this film again. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you'd like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I will be back with lots more. This is day 1 of 31 years of horror, and this is year 4 that I'm at it. Stay tuned for more videos. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming, including tomorrow's video on day 2, where we deal with some critters. Till next time.